Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of the Hackle Box. We'll let people roll in here for a couple of minutes, then we'll get started. Quick question for ourselves here. Did we enable the chat for our audience?
No, let me do it.
Okay.
Do it.
Doing
Get Eric back. He knows how to do it quickly. We don't have to fumble around.
Yeah. Whenever Eric's not here, me and Pinky every time are like, wait, where's that at again? I'm probably going to have to call Eric.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Computers are hard, man. Computers are hard.
Mm-hmm.
They sure are.
Mm-hmm.
Got it working though. Look, we already got someone in chat.
Look at that.
All right.
There we go. There we go. All right, cool. Welcome everybody. So it's October. You know what that means. Halloween's right around the corner. And today we're going to be telling some spooky stories from the world of instant response. I'm excited about this. Pinky gave me a little bit of a sneak preview, and he's put a lot of thought and work into these spooky stories. And so I think Pinky is going to be the star of the show. Who knows what this leads to for you, man? Like creative writing exercises, storytelling exercises. Maybe you're going to be an actor in a cool, spooky Halloween movie next year. I don't know, man.
Well, that's a lot of pressure. So thanks. I appreciate that. Yeah.
That's what I'm here for, is to put
really
pressure
glad
on
you could just pump that up really good. So
yeah.
Now I'm going to go back here and rewrite really quick while we're working.
Hey, just be calm, be cool, man. I want you to know there's absolutely all the pressure on you today. So it's
beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah. Most days you could hide in the background. Today, thankfully, you cannot. And so
just can't do it.
You have a huge amount of potential downfall here, and you should look forward to it.
Yeah.
Great.
This could ruin my day or possibly my weekend or entire year. So
yeah. I mean, hey, love it. Yeah, that's what I'm here for.
Also, you know what? We got the gang back together, boys. Got the gang back together today. Feels good. It's been a while since we've all three been here. And so, hell yeah. It's good to have you guys back.
Yeah. Happy to be here. Happy to see everybody.
Cool. So Halloween's coming up. Before we start talking security, as we always like to do, let's do something fun. This is a softball. What's your favorite Halloween candy?
That's not a softball at all.
That's not softball at all, man.
No, that's that's a tough question.
That depends on the time of the day, how many of one of the candies I've had versus the other. I mean, it's going to change. You know what I mean? Depends on how much is left in the bowl. You know,
that's fair. That's fair.
Yeah. You trying to find one that pairs well with a beer or a whiskey. You know, like there's a lot that goes on there. You know.
Yeah.
Oh man. Yeah, it's
I like the thought though it changes depending upon what's left in the bowl, right?
yeah, really.
It's more like that's the better question. Is what we should have had as a bowl of candy ready to go and been like, okay, here's the selection in it. What do you choose first? You know what I mean? Like, what's your order of eating them?
Trying to think of things that you kind of I only tend to do on Halloween. I think candy corn. I was telling Eric before you got on here that I recently discovered that I enjoy candy corn. I thought I hated it. I don't know if I got a fresh bag because, like Eric was saying, they're always old.
I think they stopped manufacturing them 20 years ago. So.
This was a new bag. I was going to say that I think the one thing that I probably do for Halloween that I don't normally do is what Eric was talking about. What started the conversation earlier was the tiny boxes of nerds. Really enjoy those, but at the same time, it's like have one or two, and then it's no longer your favorite. So I don't know.
No, I got two little boxes, tiny boxes of nerds up with me because that's all I'm gonna want. Once I'm done with those, I'm gonna want something else. You know, we're gonna need to move on. Need to have a Laffy Taffy at that point or something like that. I got to keep it in the same fruity bouquet. You know what I mean? But
you don't like to switch it up? Go hit some chocolate, maybe some mini Snickers or something.
Eventually, I will. But I'm not I don't know. Like I'm not a monster. I'm not gonna change back and forth through like nerds and then like a Baby Ruth and then like a Laffy Taffy and then a Twix or something like that. That's just weird, man.
You're not a psychopath, right?
I don't know, man.
Psychopath,
I don't know. 3 a.m. Halloween night, you're raiding the kids' candy bowl. I don't know. I've probably been known to switch back and forth a bit. Maybe I'm a psychopath. I don't know. We'll find out when I tell these stories later, I guess.
Here's how you do it. Like, look, I'm a professional at this, so you don't go for like the soft chocolate stuff and the fruity things. You got to transition to something like an M&M in between.
Okay.
Like a peanut M&M or something along those lines, something with like a little bit of more of a crunchiness to it. You know what I mean? That's your transitionary between, because it's got a candy shell. It's a little bit more like straight sugary. I'm telling you, it's gonna blow your mind.
Yeah.
I think this is a scientifically proven process. We all know Eric
Mhm.
is a very scientific thinker, and I think he's done the R&D, and he has a tried and trusted technique that we got to pay attention to here.
That's true. I mean, I do trust Eric's judgment on this kind of thing. So
thank you.
Yeah.
I'm the only one here with glasses on, so I mean, clearly,
obviously, you're smarter than
obviously.
us. Hold on,
Melissa, have I ever tried Nerd gummy clusters? I have. That's a very strange texture to me. They taste just fine, but it's a very strange mouthfeel. I'll tell you that much.
I enjoy the Nerds gummy clusters. I think I've talked about them on here before. They're really good.
I like them too, but the mouthfeel is just kind of awkward to me. It just feels a little off.
Yeah, I like the Nerds gummy rope too. Those are pretty tasty. April said my glasses are distracting, but I had to put them on. Eric was throwing shade. He said he's the only one with glasses, so he's definitely smarter.
No shade being thrown.
Now I put these on. I gained like 250 IQ points.
That's true.
And I wasn't saying I was smarter. I was saying I was obviously the scientist. There's a difference there.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I think I'm a scientist of something with these glasses on. So
the only thing throwing shade now is your face with those glasses on it. Look how much shade that is.
Yeah.
Future's so bright.
It's very bright.
I mean, my glasses directly on my eyeballs, so I mean, I don't know if that counts, but probably not.
The sun always shines on Planet Cool, so I got to keep these glasses on.
All right.
All right, that was fun. I don't think we settled anything. I think I'm going to put it.
my favorite candy is a toss up between peanut M&Ms and Reese's peanut butter cups.
Pretty solid. I do like what John threw in the chat there, whatever my kids allow me to have. I don't know about the others with kids, but I do full on dad taxed. It's dad tax. I'm taking some.
And that's how you can tell which ones are my favorite, is I don't even have to really think about it, because I know that on Halloween night, my kids get home and they come take all the peanut M&Ms and Reese's peanut butter cups out of their bags and they bring them to me, which means I must ask for them a lot. They're trained at this point.
Yeah, I got to go with, I'm trying to think along the lines you'd mentioned, Eric, or what's something I only get at Halloween. And I love all the special edition Reese cups they do. So the Reese pumpkins, that's probably my favorite, are the pumpkins.
Good.
Yeah.
It's already good.
Yeah, to be clear, when I say Reese's cups, I really mean the pumpkins. In that particular instance. As far as like things I never eat except for on Halloween that I actually kind of enjoy is like 100 grands, like, never eat those outside of Halloween. Ever.
It's like I hardly even know that candy bar exists until the fun size packs come around. I'm like, oh, they do still make this.
Yeah. For sure.
All right, cool. Let's talk security. Let's kick it off. Talk about the Confluence Atlassian vulnerabilities. Eric, you want to run with this, man?
Yeah, absolutely. So there was an Atlassian Confluence 0-day 10.0 critical that was that came out, CVE 2023 22515. And it's a what does they classify it at? It was a broken authentication. I don't even have it up in front of me. I'm a bad person right now. Broken access control is what it was. Broken access control in their software for the servers versions 8.0 and up. Some versions have been patched now, like some do you have right? It was 8.4, 3.3, 8.4.3, and 8.5.2 are the versions with it patched. But yeah, broken access control, for anyone who's not fully aware of what that exactly means, it generally just means that some user level is able to access something that they shouldn't normally be able to in a web application. We see them very, very commonly in web application pen testing. It's a situation where it could be anything from maybe you're supposed to everybody's able to view data. Let's say you've got some records in a kind of a database type software or something like that. It just shows data and everybody's able to view it, but only some people, editors are supposed to be able to edit them. But if you happen to go to the right URL for it or do something else and you just try to access the edit feature, you're allowed to. Basically, there's no access control that's being checked to make sure that you're not supposed to do that, other than maybe client-side things that are telling you, like they're not showing the link to edit, for instance. These are common enough because a lot of times people do rely on that client-side interaction saying, hey, we don't show someone this ability to do this. then they're not going to even attempt to do it, right? And a lot of, Atlassian is better than that generally. I think a lot of big companies know better than that, but sometimes things can get lost in where they're doing checks and where they're not. And so there was some checks that were not happening that allowed a user to, or an unauthenticated user, to basically reset up the server and set up a admin, like a setup admin for it. And my phone's ringing because I'm unprofessional. So that was able to happen in this particular case. Access controls could be bypassed or just didn't exist to allow someone to set up the admin user, and then once they set up the admin user, they could log in as that admin and they could take over that machine essentially. So it's a pretty bad one in the case of broken access controls. Normally we see them in a sense where you just get visibility on some data you're not supposed to or something like that. But in this case, full admin off of it.
Yeah. So, and to be clear, this only affects on-prem.
Yeah.
Correct. Right. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, it's only on-prem, and then, kind of as we had in our article about it, anytime you've got that level of access that can be achieved from that type of thing, right? Always need to threat hunt and things like that, even after you patch. Just kind of want to throw that out there like we always do. But, I threw some things in the article there about, if we remember, the Citrix ADC NetScaler bugs from a couple years ago or 3 years ago now, and then proxy logon and proxy shell, right? Got hit with those initial attacks and left things behind to come back and further those attacks later
as well. Yeah, Log4j as well. Exactly. That's kind of a focus, and so I put together a talk on this annual information security report, and kind of one of the main points is this, right? We saw, so Pinky, you're very familiar with this, but looking at our case data from last year, we had a high volume of cases that were the result of a vulnerability exploit. However, the vulnerability was actually exploited well ago. Most of our victims in this case had patched their systems, but were unaware that there was a persistence mechanism deployed to that system. So even though you patched, the attackers came back around, so had access to that system and were able to launch more damaging attacks. So I think that just kind of goes to reiterate that. And it's kind of the point of my talk too, is getting it like, hey, we kind of suck at vulnerability management as a whole, and people don't really understand proper vulnerability remediation, understand the attack chain of vulnerabilities. And so this is a perfect example of why understanding that attack chain is so important, because just a patch is likely isn't going to be enough if you've already had an exploit on the system.
Yep. Definitely.
Pretty spooky.
It is a spooky one.
just goes to show, some of these things can be very difficult to know, like to plan out. I mean, a lot of access control issues come up during the planning stages of applications or new features, new areas and stuff like that. It's important for, if there's any dev teams or leaders of dev teams here, that you're really constantly thinking about exactly who needs to access all the functionality, not just necessarily a section. We see it break down a lot, I think, when there's sections that share functionality. Like there's you might need functionality to do this, but this user group or this profile might need permissions to do this within that same functionality, and that this other person needs to do this within that same functionality. And so we see breakdowns all the time in this. I mean, I can tell you in the last 3 months or something like that, I think I've seen, and I don't even actively pen test anymore, right? And I've seen like 6 of them come by. Wow. Just what I've been talking to people about and stuff. Things to, I'd say, common misses for a lot of teams are things that you don't think about. So when I say like shared areas, I mean, obviously there's things like, you could say the ability to view, edit, delete data, right? So that's kind of shared in the sense that some people, maybe everyone needs to view, only some people need to be able to edit, and even less people need to be able to delete. But those are clear functionalities. It comes into more play when what I see is something along the lines of, hey, everybody can edit their profile, right? So it becomes like everybody has the ability to edit their profile. So you do the check at the very beginning to just make sure they're logged in and they have a user account and they're trying to edit their own user account or something like that. But what people forget to do is check each field level if they have access to that. So if you go to edit your account, let's say admins can edit their account and users can edit their account. And then the user might have a screen that's displayed that only allows them to change their email address, their first and last name, their, something like that. Whereas admins, when they go in and they edit a user, they have the option to set that user's privilege level or something like that, right? Maybe there's a role box or something where they can select user, manager, admin, or something like that. What happens if the user tries to submit their edit and adds in a role equals 3 or something like that? Does your application check at a field level if they have access to that, set that field? And if it doesn't, you probably have a broken access control. So, yeah.
Yeah, very good explanation, man. I appreciate that. And I'm sure all our listeners do as well. So if you have more questions, throw them in the chat or just call Eric. He's going to give you a cell phone. It's ringing on the podcast already. So
yeah, just call me up. All right. And I'll just answer right now and we'll just chat it out.
All right, cool. So another quick topic before we get into Pinky's super spooky stories. Actually, first I'm going to give a shout out. I meant to do this earlier, but so we had Hacks and Hops last week, and I was in Minneapolis, and there was multiple people that came up. They're listeners of the show here, and said they appreciate what we're doing. It's very informative. They like the format, and just wanted you guys all to know that that means a lot to us. I really appreciated that because sometimes we feel like we're just talking to each other, and we never really see if people are enjoying this or getting value out of it or not. And so that meant a lot to me. I think it means a lot to Pinky and Eric as well. So thank you for sharing those comments with me. It was also awesome getting to see you all in person. Michael, it totally sounds like you, man. Come on, give yourself a break. You're like one of the greatest guys I know. And thanks, Michael, too, for accommodating a couple of our folks. Had a little fun sipping some
I actually
brown water. And sorry I missed that, Michael, but the guys said they had a really good time.
Look, I have a bone to pick with Michael about this because, he gave you gummies that never made it my way, right? And now he's giving other people some brown water, as you just called it, that hasn't made it my way either. I'm feeling real left out. I was at Hacks and Hops last year, and there's no real love there, Michael. So just saying, next time, man.
Yeah, it was really good brown water. I'll describe it like this. So I seen one of the guys hanging out with Michael the next morning. I'm like, hey man, what'd you guys do? He's like, oh, you're gonna cry when I show you this photo. I was like, well, I'm not gonna cry, but I may be sad. I was very sad.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
All right. Cool. Yeah. So the other one I wanted to hit on really quickly, and we can all chat about this, is the HTTP 2 protocol vulnerability known as rapid reset. It gets tagged the CVE 2023-44487. I'm not sure the criticality rating on this. It should be higher critical because it has been actively exploited in the wild right now. It seems like it's also a trivial exploit. Excuse me. I'm having a cough. I'm going to get a sip.
Yeah, while you're it's a 7.5 out of 10 on the criticality rating, which does seem a little low.
Well, I mean, when you take into consideration CVSS and what it's looking at, access to data, any kind of confidentiality loss, any kind of, all that stuff. I mean, none of that's true for this. So
that's true. Right. That's a good point. Yep.
All right. Sorry about that cough, but yeah, thanks for clearing that up. And HTTP 2 is enabled in almost all web servers today. From my understanding, right, it was a protocol that was designed to make web access or web requests more efficient. So it's utilized in a lot of mobile applications today. So designed specifically for efficiencies in mobile applications. Also turns out it makes DDoS more effective as well. So the protocol does utilize stream multiplexing, and so you can have multiple in-flight requests over one TCP connection. I think typically you can have up to a maximum typically of 100 requests per TCP connection, but there is variance in there as well. And so the attack, from my understanding, essentially works by following up those initial requests with a reset stream that kills those, and then they can essentially generate 100 more and 100 more and 100 more until they indefinitely create requests and overload the system, causing a DOS. I think when this was observed, like I've read different numbers, I don't know what you guys have seen, but I think it was Google. I think there's a few people that have research out on this right now, said that they were observing 398 million requests per second from 20,000 botnets, which is insane. To put that into perspective, the entire internet typically sees about 1 to 3 billion requests per second. So that's a very, very large volume from not a small botnet, but it's not a giant botnet. And so it kind of shows the power here and how many requests you can actually initiate by exploiting this vulnerability. I guess the big thing here is it's a protocol vulnerability, right? And so the fix isn't really going to be easy. The protocol has to be fixed, and that's going to be on the onus of the web server vendors. I will say, from what I understand right now too, is your only real protection if you have this is to either be using like a cloud WAF or a cloud load balancer. I think Cloudflare Google, AWS, Microsoft, everyone has responded by saying if you're using our WAF or our load balancing solutions, that you should be okay. But if you have on-prem web servers that aren't protected by some sort of cloud solution, you're likely going to be vulnerable to a DDoS attack right now.
Yeah, it's pretty gnarly, and yeah, you're right. I know they are working on HTTP 3, so hopefully it's going to be fixed in that when that comes out. But yeah, until then, it's going to be really difficult to mitigate that.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things that they have going for them on the blocking situation for a lot of these, load balancers and stuff like that is the average amount of times a client should be sending reset packets is pretty low. It's pretty easy to detect when a client is sending too many reset packets and then just blocking that client out entirely, which I think is pretty much the mitigation factors that a lot of them were using, or that's at least what they were using live when this started happening to respond as quickly as possible. They were just like, hey, there's no reason that this is easy enough to detect, standard resets are going to come in at a certain rate versus this rate. We can just completely block that traffic.
Right. It was interesting too. I think these attacks were observed end of August is what I'd seen. Right. And maybe I just missed this, but I didn't see the publishing of the CVE or a lot of activity being shared with everyone until the last couple of weeks, which was interesting. And I was reading some other, or until this week, I'm sorry, some other information too, like from researchers saying like, this is kind of a powerful tool, right? Like if you were targeting a specific organization, you could have used this very effectively. So why was this attack burned by just kind of spraying the internet to see if it was possible? I'm not sure why they would have burned this one because it probably was a high value exploit that could have been sold, could have been used to weaponize against a specific entity. I also kind of thought like, I don't know, man, maybe the WAF manufacturers found this and they wanted to sell more WAF and load balancing.
Yeah, I mean, I will say on the topic of DDoSing in general, it's always a matter of having, well, it's an imbalance of resource usage, right, is what it comes down to. So early on, in the 90s, when a certain young non-bearded fella might have been doing a lot of DDoSing because he was a hoodlum. Back then, there was more about just having multiple servers, having a large botnet essentially doing it, right? So you have more resources available to you than the other person or the other server, and you overwhelm their resources by just having more yourself, right? Over time, people got smarter about it and thought, what are some mechanisms that exist in the software, in the world, right? That where to trigger usage of resources, it takes less resources to trigger more uses of resources, right? And it's a similar situation here. HTTP2, what the problem is like there's not more packets being sent back necessarily from the server than there are being sent from the client, but the server has to allocate and use resources to handle that request, whereas the client doesn't really. And so it's a situation where the resource usage of the client is less than that of the server, and so it's able to overwhelm the server's resource limits. And obviously HTTP2 in this case had measures in place to try to block something like this, but it just didn't take into consideration. So as Oscar was saying on this one, it's a concurrent stream cap, right, that can be set, can be configured. Generally it's going to be like 100 or something like that. But the problem was, so that was built in to try to protect against something like this. They kind of foresaw this maybe being an issue. Someone could open up multiple streams and they could overload a system. So let's block that, let's limit that, and have it set up. Well, the problem is that as soon as you send a reset, it frees up the resource, or technically frees up the count, doesn't necessarily free up the resources that fast. And so you free up the count faster than you free up the resources. And now you can overwhelm the resources, right? So that all said, this isn't going to stop existing. There's always going to be things where the attacker uses less resources than the actual receiver of the attack, right? Than the victim does. Software that responds to things and handles things and processes things, servers in general that serve up data, they have to allocate resources and use resources to do that. And so I think that's part of it probably too, is that, well, this happened a while back and didn't get really reported till now. It's because maybe they didn't realize fully how much this really differed from a lot of other things,
Yeah, makes sense.
And then as they kind of maybe did some more analysis of it and looked at it, they thought, okay, this is actually something that really affects everyone at a pretty large level. It needs to be published a little bit more, and we need to get it out there instead of just fixing it on our side. That'd be my guess, But the fact is, this isn't going to change. There's always going to be some resources. Always, even using that, if you just had a large enough botnet, you're going to be able to still overwhelm a server. right? As what it comes down to.
Without a doubt, for sure.
Well, that was one of the things that made this one stand out, was that the botnets that were used were, I think, in the neighborhood of like 10,000 or something like
20,000 is what I
20,000, yeah.
Right.
Tens of thousands instead of like hundreds of thousands to a million, which, you know, is kind of crazy to hear that, you know, people are using 1 million host botnets, a botnet being essentially a bunch of compromised systems that you're able to control to send out data to, right? And so the idea that someone has 1 million compromised systems dedicated to just shutting something down is a little overwhelming in thought sometimes, but that's why this one was so special, I guess, technically, was that it didn't require 1 million compromised systems. It required just, you know, a couple of 20,000.
Yeah, and so that's the thing that's really interesting about this. They were able to, you know, generate a volume of requests that could be, depending on, you know, the way you look at it, but 25% of what the entire internet may see at one given time. And so, yeah, think about the power. If you have 1 million node endpoint botnet, like, shoot, let's DDoS the internet, man.
Yeah. Well, and specifically not just, you know, that many, but the largest they'd ever seen, right? As far as request type attacks, not as far as like ping type attacks and things like that, but of this type of attack, it was the largest, and it was from one of the smallest botnets. Technically, that they've, like, if they had 1 million machine botnet, maybe they would have been more successful. And so maybe that's why it was burned instead of sold, because maybe the people using it weren't in a very mature place as far as having such a small botnet and stuff. Who knows? I don't.
For sure. Cool. That was fun. So everybody, I guess the takeaways are, if you're not using, if you're utilizing Cloud WAF or Cloud Load Balancer, check to make sure they have proper DDoS protections, make sure they have protections for this specific vulnerability. If you're hosting on-prem, look at implementing a Cloud WAF solution or another WAF solution in front of those web servers to prevent attack on your system as well. Anything else you guys would recommend?
No.
I mean, look into, if you're not doing that, you know, look into just making sure, see if there's any updates, patching, or anything like that of the HTTP2 protocol for whatever you are using to serve up your data. I do believe some stuff is coming out for stuff like that. You know, and there's always the option to not support HTTP2. While a lot of it does, I think it is over half of, you know, sites and servers and stuff like that do support it these days. I mean, still, you don't necessarily have to. I mean, I guess just consider that business impact and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's a really good point. There is a GitHub page that's tracking updates on this right now. I'll try to get that out to everybody in a link afterwards, and you can keep up with that to hopefully find out when if patches are available, when they're available, what to do, and so on. That's pretty spooky, though, man. We're talking about almost every web server on the internet.
All kinds of spooky.
So spooky. Yeah. I'm so spooked right now.
Spooked, man.
Woo, scared. Just peed my pants a little bit. All right, Pink. What you got, man? You got some spooky stories from the
Oh, you ready for that? Okay. Do I need to get my skull and pet my skull?
I think so, yeah.
It's gonna be awkward to hold it up here and pet it while I do that. But
to be honest, you could take anything and hold it like this and pet it, and it's gonna be awkward.
That's true. Yeah, just kind of.
Yeah.
All right. Well, cool. Yeah, let's do this. So got two stories for you. Each of these, I want you as the listeners, and you guys too, because these guys haven't heard these yet either, to put yourself in the story, right? And so I've written these from the perspective of you. This is you are doing this. And so think about it like that. So our first one is called the Backup Slasher Camp. So you arrive at a cabin for a weekend of fun with your best friends, right? 4 of your best friends. It's going to be a good time. Had this trip planned for months, but unfortunately, the other member of your IT team is out sick, and so you had to take the weekend's on-call rotation. Should be fine. It's a small company. Nothing ever really happens on the weekends anyway, but you know, you brought your laptop and a hotspot just in case. You do happen to be in a spot with a cabin that does have cell service, so you're okay there, right? You know, evening falls. You and the group you're sitting around the campfire, you know, enjoying some brown water or some adult grape juices or adult apple juices, you know, whatever you prefer. You know, telling scary stories like you do at a campfire, you know, and your friend Michael Myers is his name. You know, he's telling a little bit of a slasher story, and you know, it happened at, you know, very near this very cabin, right? So as they always do, right? And also on a night much like tonight, And so he begins telling the story. You're listening in, but then your phone rings like Eric's did earlier. You look down to see that it's the office calling. Dun dun dun. Weekend may be ruined already. So you step away from the campfire. You still hear Michael telling the story in the background. You take the call, and you pick up and say, "Hey, this is Freddie from IT. How may I help you?" And there's a panicked voice on the other side of the call. It says, "This is Jason from sales. We can't access any of our files. We're giving a presentation to the Cyberdyne systems in the morning about AI, and we really need you to fix it now." Okay. It's like, okay, well, you think to yourself, all right, it's probably just sales being sales. Maybe they saved it in the wrong direction, something like that, or the wrong directory, something like that. And just tell them, all right, I'll log in and take a look at the sales server, call you back in a few minutes. So, you grab your laptop, you pop back to your chair at the campfire, set it up, start digging in a little bit. You fire it up, you connect to the VPN, then you connect over to the sales server. In the background, you hear Michael still telling the story. He says, the 5 kids were trying to barricade themselves inside the house, but the killer was already inside. And so you've heard the story before, and you know that Michael's probably going to try to scare everybody later in the night, have a good time out of that. And so, you just kind of make a mental note to not be afraid later. But then, as you look at your sales server, the horror becomes real. You see the dreaded ransom note right there on the desktop of the sales server. You quickly browse over to the sales shares and see that all of the files have had their extensions changed. They're now .h3ll files as opposed to whatever they were before. Then you hear Michael in the background again, and they put a dresser against the bedroom door as a backup. And so, backups, you think. Let me just go grab my backup system. I just put in that new backup system from Shredder Systems. They said it's immutable, so it's got to be safe. Should be able to restore from backup, get sales what they need, and then deal with the rest on Monday. Continue enjoying my weekend. Pleased with this, your thought, you're pretty pumped about it. So you connect to your backup system, and you're met with an even greater shock. Again, though, while you're looking at this, you hear Michael in the background, but the backup dresser was no match for the campsite killer. He pushed right through. Color drains from your face, and then you yell out, "But these were supposed to be immutable." And your friends all kind of look at you like, "What's going on?" And Michael's like, "Hey man, it's just a story, calm down." And you shake your head, you look back at your laptop, you're looking at your screen in disbelief, now realizing that the the attacker has done more damage than you initially thought. Those network connected backups, as you remember, could be deleted by an administrator account. They weren't truly immutable. So you quickly check all the other servers in your environment. They all bear the same sinister mark of the .h3ll extension. You step away from the campfire, go back into the house. You've got to call the CEO, let him know what's happened. Your hands are shaking. You pick up the phone, you make the call, and you give him the horror-filled summary of what's going on. You tell him that all the servers are encrypted, everything's gone, and you can't restore it because your backups are gone. The CEO asks, what options do we have? That Cyberdyne meeting is in the morning, and it's life or death for the company. We have to do this. So you tell the CEO, unfortunately, without backups, your only option is to get back up quickly, is to pay the ransom. So you're like, okay, well, we don't love doing that, but let's see if we can make this happen. CEO says, yeah, just pay the damn thing, get the servers back online. Let's get this going. We have to have that meeting tomorrow. So, luckily being a proper nerd, you have some accounts on some cryptocurrency exchanges. The CEO lets you know that he's going to make a call to the finance department to authorize any transfers you need. And so you hop on, get on the crypto exchange, you purchase 10 slasher coins. This is the currency that the attackers requested in the ransom note. So you're going to buy that, send it to them. And but however, when you make that transaction, there's a little message pops up on the screen. And it's from the cryptocurrency exchange called Crypt Exchange. It says, note, Slasher Coin has been utilized for terrorist activities. As a courtesy to our customers here at Crypt Exchange, we must inform you that the FBI placed the primary threat actor utilizing this currency on the OFAC sanctions list. If you are utilizing Slasher Coin to pay the Texas Backup Slashers group, you will be violating federal law. And she's like, oh, that's super weird. I've never seen anything like that before. But you think, okay, maybe it's a different group. Maybe I'm okay. But you open the ransom note up, look at the bottom, and it's signed Happy Halloween from the Texas Backup Slashers. You can't pay the ransom, the files can't be restored, and the company's not going to get the Cyberdyne contract. You turn off your phone, you disconnect from the VPN, and you begin updating your resume.
Oh man! At some point, you were going to ask, "What do you do?" And I was going to say, "Update my resume." That was literally going to be my response.
Exactly. It's the only option at that point. I mean, how horrifying is that?
That's so good, man. You did such a good job there.
That was a lot better than I expected it to be. A little bit of chills.
A little bit of chills, yeah. The sad thing is that we've seen this, right? So these stories, though Halloweened up a bit, are based on actual stories, unfortunately.
Yeah. Names and likenesses may have been changed, but this was totally based upon a true story. That was fantastic, man. I wish I had a hot cup of cider with a little brown water in there, and I was sitting by a campfire as you were telling me that story. It's fantastic. I told you were going to make or break my day, and so far you're making it. You're making it
good.
Yeah. I just want to point out, it's okay if you sit around a campfire with a glass of water. Okay. You
don't
have to be an alcoholic like us. Okay.
Valid. That is very valid.
We're being real peer pressury right about now. I just want to put that one out there.
It could have just been cider. I said cider and then I added brown water. Either is fine.
And so like any good horror movie, horror story, right? There's always a moral behind it, right? So, obviously a lot of the ones of the past was, about underage teenage activities and things like that, right? There's rules to this. If you do certain things, you're definitely going to get dead, things like that.
Right.
So in this one, right, there's a couple things, right? Don't always just trust your immutable backups. And there's some kind of bug flying in front of my camera. Sorry about that. Don't always trust your immutable backups, but also you got to remember that you can't always be bailed out by paying the ransom. And so I think some companies take that approach of, hey, worst case, we'll just pay it off. But sometimes you get told, no, you can't do that. And we've certainly seen that in cases where they were at the end of the rope, all their backups were gone, they had to restore, and they weren't allowed to pay the attackers. So that's always a big thing to remember there.
Yeah. So, what they could have done, what could they have done here, Pinky? It's one simple solution, right?
Right. Offline backups is so important. Yeah. So truly immutable, as in it's, not connected to anything, so the attackers can't get to it.
Yeah. I remember, it's funny. I did talk about that again at Hacks and Hops, because I think every time I get an opportunity to talk, I mention that. But the year before last at Hacks and Hops, I had a lot of questions about that and had a lot of good conversations with people about it. I mentioned it this year. There were no questions, which is good. I think we've been saying it over and over, and I think people are starting to understand that. And we have these examples now that, and even like going back to the report, it was like 80% of all our ransomware cases, backups were completely destructed. So let's start thinking about those tape backups more and more, or just offline backups more and more.
Definitely. Yeah, definitely. You guys got anything else to add to that one? If not, I could roll into story number 2.
I don't think I have anything to add. That was great, man.
Even if I did, I'm not gonna, because I want story number 2.
Yeah.
All right.
Hold on. Let me go get a mug, and I'm gonna get a blanket and snuggle up here.
I did think about breaking up my pipe, my tobacco pipe, to be clear, for these to just add a little atmosphere, but got some allergies and sinus stuff going on. I don't want to do that right now, but. All right. Well, story number 2.
So if you're smoking out your cabin telling these stories right now.
Just kind of floating around. Yeah. All right, though. So story number 2. This one's called Monster Mutual Insurance. It's your funeral, bro. All right. So this one, a little more stage setting involved here. So it's a crisp fall morning. You're walking out to your car, got spring in your step, smile on your face. It's almost the weekend. It's football season. And you've managed to get up early enough to get to the coffee shop and get a pumpkin spice latte before work. It's pretty rare, but you got a little extra time this morning. So, you're heading towards your car. Just before you get there, one of your inflatable Halloween decorations kicks on and starts inflating. Scares you a little bit, have a little fright. You forgot that you'd put them on a timer to kick on during the day, so they're not, wasting energy at night. But the first thing to inflate is the sign that says beware right in front of you, at about eye level. So, you kind of laugh about it. This isn't foreshadowing at all. It's totally fine. So, you shake it off, go on to your morning commute. You get to the coffee shop, you pull up to the drive-through line. It's wrapped around the building, of course, like it always is. So you grab your phone, you pick it up to check and make sure you've got enough time to still get your pumpkin spice latte before work. But when you unlock your phone, which you've had on vibrate all night long because you try to get a little bit of sleep, you notice that you've just got a flood of alerts and text messages and missed calls, and all those calls are coming from inside the office. So the first message you read is from Renfield. Renfield's your longtime IT assistant, and it just says something spooky is happening to the servers. Call me now. So you kind of grumble, get out of the coffee shop line. You know something's going on. Guess you'll just have to have the swamp sludge they make in the office today. Get that pumpkin spice latte on the way home or something. So if you rush, you get on into the office. When you open the lobby doors, you're just met by a horde of what seems to be the undead wandering the lobby and the halls. Everybody seems lost. Nobody knows what to do. You brush past them as best you can, kind of slipping through their outstretched arms and hearing their moans of "Help me! Help me! Email is down! It's down!" So you kind of just shake your head a little bit and you hurry on to your office. Renfield's already there waiting on you. He says, "Sir, all the servers are down. We don't know why." So again, you power on your laptop. You use Root Desktop to connect into the email server since that's what people were complaining about. And you're greeted with a monster from your nightmares, a ransom note. You rush to check a few more servers. The monster's on all of them. It's gotten to every server. You scramble to think of what to do, but you remember, you have an IR plan. So you reach into your desk, you pull out that dusty tome, you blow a little of the dust off, and you flip to the first page. Step 1, call IR retainer firm. Okay. Step 1A, call cybersecurity insurance. So you're like, okay, cool. So you tell Renfield to go call the IR retainer firm, and then you hop on the phone with cybersecurity insurance to get that all rolling because you're the authorized person on that plan. But while you're waiting on hold to talk to them, you flip to the next page of your IR plan, see what other steps you may need to be taken, and it reads, "You've reached the end of the document." Oh no. So you mumble to yourself a little bit that you should have used that free template you heard about at Hacks and Hops, but you carry on with the call. On the call, with Renfield, the IR firm says that they're ready to help, but you should also reach out to your insurance company just to get them in the loop. Renfield lets them know that you're doing that. The insurance company answers the call, picks up, and the receptionist says, "Monsters Mutual, how we may direct your call." You have to speak to your agent. The call is directed over to your agent. You inform the agent of what's going on, and they insist that you must use their in-house IR firm to work the case, as opposed to the other one that you've got on the phone. Those guys, the IR firm, their name is Crude Dudes Cyber. So many frightful hours later, after boarding up your office door to keep the wandering horde of aimless employees out of your office, you receive a call back from the Crude Dudes. So you didn't even get to talk to them when you first called. So you tell the Crude Dude on the other end of the phone there that you are in fact having an event and you need some help. And he just says, "All right, well, dude, you gonna pay the ransom?" And you're like, "No, that's not what we do. We're not gonna pay the ransom." And he scoffs and says, "All right, bro, it's your funeral. So what do you want us to do?" He's like, "Well, I would like for you to investigate the issue. Maybe find the attackers, eradicate them from the network. Give me some guidance on how to keep this from happening again. Something like that." And the guy's like, "Pfft." And he says, "All right, let me put you on hold for a minute." So you hear him hit a button, but it doesn't actually put you on hold. He must have just hit another button. You hear him in the background. He's going, "Hey guys, this guy thinks we're going to investigate," and I quote, "eradicate the attackers." And you hear a roar of evil laughter coming from the background behind your Crude Dude here. He hits another button, but this time the hold music plays. So you're realizing that he actually hit the hold button this time to take you off hold. You do notice the music's a little bit odd. It kind of sounds like the theme music from Halloween, but you only hear it for a second or two, and then he hits it again and pops back in. And he's like, "All right, yeah, bro, we can do that, and we'll get started right away." And for the whole day, you wait by the phone in your office, frozen in fear. No response from the Crude Dudes. You don't know what's going on. Finally, morning comes. You're a little bit scraggly. You've got the, now like 6 a.m. shadow going on, the beard, and if you shave. that kind of thing. You've still not had your pumpkin spice latte. You've been living off the sludge in the office all night long. And finally, though, your phone does ring. Um, it's another crude dude, a different one than you spoke to before. And he says, "Sup, bro? So yeah, we see you've been ransomed. You want to pay this ransom?" You're like, "No, I told the other dude that I don't want to pay the ransom. Like, I want you to investigate this." And he says, "I mean, are you sure? You could just pay this ransom, this whole thing would be over." You're like, "No, just do what I asked. Like, investigate it." He just says, "All right, bro, your funeral," and hangs up. So you kind of hope they're investigating, but you're not really sure. You're not getting a lot of updates. You're not like getting a lot of info from them. And this process just kind of repeats every day. You feel like you're in the twilight zone. Each day you sit at your desk. There's the hordes of aimless employees outside your door, banging and scratching at the door. Occasionally a spooky chant breaks out. You think it's from the sales department. They're chanting email, email over and over again. So you don't really know what to do. You're just waiting on the crude dudes again. And this goes on for an entire month. You're living off vending machine food and sludge coffee. You've not seen your family in a long time. They don't even know if you're still alive. They heard there was an uprising at the office, but they don't really have any other details about that. But it goes on every day. Same call as the last. The guy from the crude dudes calls you, asks if you want to pay the ransom, and you keep saying no. They don't give you any kind of update on point of ingress, TTPs, IOCs, anything else useful for that matter. They just always ask if you want to pay the ransom. Don't really investigate anything. However, though, the horde outside your office does get smaller each week. The undead, the aimless employees, see that they'll not get what they want, and they move on to haunt other companies. Your customers, they turn to ghosts. Your company's going toward the light. And all you can hear as the final light goes off in the building is, "All right, bro, your funeral." All right.
Fantastic.
So we're Dracula in this scenario, right?
I don't really know who we are. I mixed a lot of things in there. Got some undead. Okay. There's some zombies.
Right. Yeah, but
I think we kind of are.
Renfield
Dracula.
called us master on accident. I'm feeling like okay.
Yeah.
Just checking.
Yeah, we're Vlad. We're Vlad here.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Oh man, that was so good. Crude dude, help me. Email.
I've been in offices when things have gone down where that has basically happened. Just everybody walks out and stands in the hall. I don't know what to do. So.
Yeah, right.
And again, back with the moral of this one, several, right? You guys want to take a stab at what I was going for here with these?
Oh yeah, man. You tell us, buddy. We're not stealing any of your lights. This is your show,
okay.
man.
All right.
You're making and breaking my year, and you're making it right now. Yeah.
All right. So a couple things, right? So the first one that comes out from this is your terrible IR plan, right? Your IR plan was call somebody else. And though that can be part of your IR plan, and probably should be if you need additional assistance, you should have a little more than that, right? Here's some things we need to do, that kind of thing. Luckily, as our Dracula character in the story remembered, FRSecure provides a free template, totally free. You could just go get that and use that to make a better IR plan.
A spooky statistic to go with that.
Yeah,
400 companies assessed last year. Only 48% actually had an acceptable IR plan, and only about 30% have actually tested that plan. That's spooky.
Yeah, obviously our hero here, if you can call him that, did not test the IR plan. It was covered in dust and had no idea that it was only one page. So beyond that, though, the other thing you can do here is establish with your cybersecurity firm the IR plan or the IR firm you want to use. If you have a trusted partner, you can talk to your insurance company and say, "Hey, we use these folks. We want to use them in the event of an incident. What do you need us to do to make that happen?" We take these calls, from time to time here, where we'll talk to the insurance company and say, "Hey, here's our process, here's all this kind of stuff," and get ourselves established so that they're ready to work with us in that event. Some insurance companies are better than others, obviously, but that's a big thing there. That way you don't end up with, the crude dude cyber, who in this case, and again, we're basing these off of real stories that have just been adapted. the other IR firm just wants to pay the ransom, and that is their sole focus, and that's all they wanted to do. They may be investigating some, but the bigger motivation for them is to just go ahead and pay the ransom, and that is spooky.
That's very spooky, very spooky. And the goal, right, is for them to minimize their time. The insurance goal is to minimize the effort that it takes for a company to recover from this, even if they're not doing it properly. And yeah, it's a sad state of affairs. I'll say too, it's like, we say Pinky's advice is perfect. Reach out to your insurance, identify if you can use your partner. If you don't have it, I mean, it's great. We want to help everybody, but if you're a listener and maybe you don't, I don't know, you don't want to use this or you have another partner you're working with, that's fine. Like, I don't care there.
Yeah.
Just, and if you don't have a partner too, ask your insurance company who they're going to send your way when you have that incident, right? And research that company. There's a lot of valuable information out there about these crude dudes, if we want to call them that you could do some diligence and find out who the budget provider may or may not be that's sent your way. And then the other valuable thing too, right, is if you do what Pinky's saying, you get to know your breach coach. That's really important.
Mm.
That's going to be your point of contact for the insurance throughout that engagement. It's going to tell you a whole lot about that insurance firm right away. Are they compatible with you? Are they easy to work with? Are they have your best interest in mind or not? And so, yeah, don't end up with the crude dudes.
Yeah, in particular, the sort of real life crude dudes here. About 30 seconds Googling, and we saw kind of what they were about. I'll say it like that, and obviously not going to give away a name. I'm not going to. I mean, that's just not how we roll, right? We're not about bashing other people, but maybe we should. But I'm just going to leave it at that for now. We're going to call them crude dudes, yeah, it's just multiple instances of exactly that their only focus is pay the ransom, get it over with, not focusing on the important parts of the investigation, because we've seen in the past, either you pay that ransom or you just recover from backup, right? I mean, I know Eric was involved with a call we took several years ago when we were first spinning up our IR team, where we got a call in from some folks who had done just this. They engaged their cybersecurity insurance. The insurance provided an IR firm to work the investigation. All they did was restore from backup, and that we got that call on a Sunday. We talked to them about it a little bit, and then we got another call on Tuesday because they had been ransomed again, because the focus was not on cleaning up the attacker actions and preventing this in the future. It was just about getting things back up and going. And so this is certainly a real world thing that happens, and we don't want to see that happen to anybody.
True stories told in a very spooky presentation.
Very spooky presentation.
Well, that was awesome, man. Thanks for putting the time together to do that. I know that took
fun.
A lot of time, but it was really fantastic. And I don't know. I think maybe we got a theme here, like, December. I'd like to hear some like Christmas stories too. I don't know what you guys think. Let us know if this is fun. If you enjoyed it, maybe we'll do some more themed stories, because I really liked it.
Yeah, they were a lot of fun to write. I was trying to adapt these things into that. So
yeah.
Got a question in chat real fast if you want to answer before we go, from Cliff there.
Ask our insurance.
Cliff, the best thing I would say is see if they are open to having a meeting with us, and we can try to help you navigate that conversation, because we've heard that before. Once we're able to talk to them, they understand our qualifications, our process. Most insurance companies are more than happy to work with us, and so we're more than happy to help you there. You can send any of us an email or Tyler, and we can help you coordinate that meeting with your insurance company.
Yep, absolutely.
Also, you can just fire them and find another insurance company too.
Depends on who it is, but yeah.
All right, cool. Well, I'm not going to sleep well this weekend. I mean, you made my day, but you ruined my weekend because I'm scared to death now.
Yeah, I think Tim's on call this weekend, so maybe I just scared him.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys. Thanks to everybody for joining us as well. This has been awesome. It's great having us all back together. And everybody have a safe, happy weekend, a wonderful Halloween, and we'll talk to you all next month. See ya.
Bye, everybody. Sleep tight.